Hey guys, it's Angelo, and today we'll be looking at the new and upcoming legendary effects for the priest, coming with patch 9.1, Chains of Domination. Patch 9.1 brings a new legendary for each covenant for the priest, essentially buffing each covenant and attempting to grant more flexibility to the choice of the covenants themselves. With patch 9.1 on the horizon and approaching quickly, there are quite a few changes that will still be coming, and 2 of these 4 new legendaries have not actually been confirmed inside of the game yet and are currently only implemented as placeholders. That being said though, their effects seem quite final, and I'm pretty sure they won't be changing that much anymore. Now if you want to join the discussion with all things Priest or World of Warcraft related, of course be sure to join the Discord server with the link in the description box below, and be sure to follow me on Twitch as well. As I said, I will be starting to stream again in the upcoming week with the launch of the Burning Crusade Classic, and there's also much more content coming with 9.1 as well. Alright, now with that being said and without any further ado, let's go right ahead and have a look. Alright, so as always I will read the legendary effects out to you first before reviewing them and giving you my take. Let's start us off with the legendary effect for Night Fae priests, called Bwonsamdi's Pact. Each time you take damage from Shadow Word Death while your Fae Guardians are active, your fairy effectiveness is increased by 25%. Right off the bat here I must say that this legendary sounds incredibly underwhelming, to the point where it sounds terribly weak. Since legendaries can't be paired with one another, we will not be using the Shadow Flame Prism when using Bwonsamdi's Pact, meaning there's no real reason to ever use Shadow Word Death outside of its execute range, and using it to extend Fae Guardian's uptime almost doesn't really seem worth it. Now, I can see this legendary effect being interesting along with Death and Madness in Mythic Plus, as that could potentially give us an absolutely insane amount of Void Form uptime when you're able to constantly reset Shadow Word Death's cooldown. Apart from that scenario, however, this legendary doesn't seem, rather it seems relatively underwhelming, at least for Shadow, but pretty much for Discipline Priest and Holy as well. We'll have to wait and see. Coming up next is the Venthyr legendary, which is Shadow Word Manipulation. Mind Games gains 1 additional charge and has its cast time increased by 50%. This legendary actually sounds alright, and even though it will increase your Mind Games cast time by 50%, it will give Mind Games 2 charges, which is actually quite promising. Having a double Mind Games in your opener should give you quite a strong amount of burst damage, and gives you a lot of overall damage extra to play around with. Now 1 additional Mind Games alone should honestly not be enough though to compete with the likes of Shadow Flame Prism and Talbot Stratagem, and well therefore I believe that this is unfortunately yet another Covenant legendary that will fall comparatively flat. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next up we have the 2 unconfirmed legendaries for the Necrolord priests as well as for Kyrian. Pallid command comes first here, and this lets us summon a Maldraxxi champion to aid us whenever we cast Unholy Nova. Whenever we heal an ally with Unholy Transfusion, the champion's healing and damage is increased by 1%. This legendary, though essentially only being completely passive, sounds like it could be very strong and could possibly even compete with Shadow Flame Prism or even Talbotars. If we're looking at another Guardian pet in form of this champion here, similar to a Shadow Fiend or a Mindbender, then being able to buff the champion with Unholy Transfusion seems pretty interesting, especially in a raid setting with many allies to benefit from your Unholy Transfusion. Since the numbers are ultimately unclear as of now though, we'll honestly just have to wait and see. Last but not least, we have Sphere's Harmony for the Kyrian priests. Boon of the Ascended's cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds, up to 60 seconds as a maximum for each stack of Boon of the Ascended consumed by Ascended Eruption. This legendary seems a bit clunky because all it does is let you cast Boon of the Ascended more often, which is not something that feels good in my opinion or even sounds good. It's also capped currently at 60 seconds of cooldown reduction, which would still give us a cooldown of 2 minutes on our Boon of the Ascended even if we could get the maximum amount of cooldown reduction, which means it will never actually align properly with things like Void Form either way, and only with a power infusion potentially, and it won't even do anything for your Spirit Shell or anything else. literally does not align with any priest spec ultimately. Now, that's definitely weird, and actually only makes the sound as if the legendary would make the Kyrian playstyle even more out of touch with the actual priest, though be it quite unique. Once more, we will have to wait and see here, but this legendary certainly sounds and seems more underwhelming than the Necrolord legendary, and I'd put this on par with the Night Fae legendary in form of its actual potency, at least on paper. Overall, I'm going to have to be honest here with you guys, and I have to say it as it is. I'm really not excited or positively impressed about these legendaries. Literally none of these legendary effects sound as if they could compete with any of the legendary effects we're currently using, even after those were already nerfed. And if they do actually compete, then they do so on an entirely unengaging level, because none of these effects have any meaningful impact on our gameplay, apart from maybe the Night Fae legendary potentially, which, we have to be honest, trades a positive impact, which is potentially more Void Forms than Mythic Plus, for a negative impact, which is using Shadow Word Death on cooldown at all times and having to take its damage, and this of course in return only gives you a semi-decent effect. I'm not sure how to feel about these legendaries at the moment, but I also want to keep in mind that these effects are in no way final, and accordingly there's still time and hope for something more engaging and just better. I hope someone at Blizzard will, well, perhaps even watch this video, at the very least, perhaps rethink the direction which they want to be taking with these new legendaries. Be sure to let me know what you think though in the comments down below. How are you feeling about these legendary effects? Are you excited for them at all? Or do they seem a bit unengaging to you as well? Be sure to share your thoughts with us in the comments, of course, down below. As always, a special thanks to all of my supporters over on Patreon, as well as all subs over on Twitch. You guys are awesome. And of course, thank you everyone truly for watching. Now, have a good one, my friends. Get excited for patch 9.1, because even though the legendaries may seem weird, the rest of the content actually seems quite exciting, and I will see you all in the next one.